We're making Yolk Raviolo today. My father's from Italia. I've been making pasta with him and with my Nonna since I was 2 or 3 years old. Pasta al uovo, it's been cooked for the King of Italia at one point. It's gonna blow your mind. Hi, Stefano Secchi from Pasta al uovo, which is egg-based pasta. First, we're gonna make the pasta dough. So we're gonna separate the whites from the yolks. Actually, I got a really cool way to take the eggs off too. When you have a ton of eggs, I just keep the boning knife in my hand. It does make it easier, I think, when you have a lot of eggs to separate. Yolk Raviolo came from Nino Berghese, who used to cook for the royalty of Piemonte when Italy was a monarchy. And then he was actually recruited to San Domenico, which is in Imola, in Emilia-Romagna, and it was made famous at that restaurant. It's one of those things that has become a marquee dish. 3 egg yolks have been separated. We got a full egg in there. We're gonna put the flour in the food processor. All the eggs inside. And then extra virgin olive oil, what's really great here is it helps with the elasticity of the dough. So when you're feeding it through, you get that beautiful sheen. It's really much easier to work with as well. Just a touch of aqua. Now we're just gonna bring it together into a big pasta ball. Knead at the end to just bring it all together. What we want is a really dense dough that's fatty because it's much easier to work the dough. I have my bench flour. But I really learned how to make pasta with the Nonnas in Modena. It was just me with 4 Nonnas in the kitchen. And then we'd go upstairs in the pasta room and we used to roll pasta. No machines, none of that. They taught me 1, 2, 3, gira, which in Italiano means turn, girare. So you want to see a little bit of a spring back? Mamma mia, che bello, no? It's gonna be wrapped up, room temperature always. It needs to relax for 30 minuti, half hour at least, because it needs to hydrate and the gluten rests, and then it's gonna be easier to roll out. Now we're gonna do the ricotta ripieno, or the ricotta stuffing. We have ricotta cheese. There's nothing better than being in the middle of Modena or Emilia-Romagna when ricotta comes from the hills. Still a little bit warm from the process. It's so delicious. Plenty of Parmigiano-Reggiano. We're leaving black pepper out of this. We just do noce moscata, which is nutmeg, and which is super common in the area. We do a little bit of lemon zest. I'm gonna take a little bit of parsley, or a decent amount. The parsley is an herb that we use a lot in Emilia-Romagna and in northern Italia. Okay, so the idea is that you want to have a fairly dry filling. Io devo assaggiare sempre, no? You have to always taste it. You know, like, there's so much Parmigiano where it kind of like brings your mouth together and you're just like, oh man, that's what, I mean, that's, come diciamo noi, buono. Piping bag, twist, resting in my beer glass. We're gonna roll out the dough. Okay, so this is our dough. Beautiful, right? We're gonna roll with like a piece yay big. The resting helped relax the gluten, so it'll be easier to roll out. We're gonna push down the pasta, get it nice and thin. You wanna have the al dente texture. You can actually laminate the dough. Just a little bit of bench flour. See what I'm saying? We do a fold over. And then so you're building layers upon layers upon layers, so you have the little texture that you get that people like. On this machine, we've rolled to the second thinnest setting because you want it to be almost to where you can see diti, so you can see your hands through. Get a little bit of bench flour. Okay, we're gonna fold in half. Vai un piccolo taglio qua. Just a little bit of a cut right there. Tagliamo in mezzo di nuovo, cut it in half again. Poi uno, poi due. We're gonna prep our sheet. We have some semolina. It just helps to not stick. We do the form with the smaller mold. I did 2 just to mark where the ricotta is gonna be. And then the larger one is just gonna make sure that I have enough space or diameter to cut the uovos. So now we're gonna pipe the ricotta. You want it to be kind of like a volcano. And then the egg just kind of sits inside and like, we don't need any egg whites to close the pasta. Just water will be perfecto. If you have a water bottle, you can just spray, or you can just use your finger. We're gonna put this sheet on top of the other sheet. Uno, più due, stretch out slightly. Not too much. So remember that first mold that we used? Questo lo mettiamo qua, per chiuderlo più o meno, to close it. Second one, per tagliare, to cut, so you can close the uovo up. You poke holes so you can get the air out, because when we cook it, it'll burst if you have air bubbles inside, yeah? You're pushing the air out and then you're closing the holes at the same time. Don't worry about any water getting inside. Just make sure you don't poke the yolk. Okay, so we have the 2 uovos, so this can go in the fridge and sit for not more than 2 or 3 hours, so if you want to do it ahead of time, 100%, you just can't freeze it. So the uovo's been resting in the fridge for 10 minutes. We're gonna drop it in this boiling salted water. Okay, so you want a really hot pan. You wanna brown the butter until it becomes nice and dark, just before it burns, and then some pasta water goes right inside. Make sure you do it away from yourselves because it'll splash everywhere. Yeah, I learned that one the hard way. You should see at the restaurant at the end of the night, there's like just butter everywhere. You see like how you use the pasta water and then the butter is nice and brown, but it's also emulsified as well. That's the trick. You want to keep it emulsified, yeah? So the way to tell when your uovo raviolo is finished is you're going to see that it's going to start floating, and you need to take it about 30 seconds past that, just so you cook the egg yolk just enough and to warm through the ricotta. You can take a rag and just kind of tilt so you don't have too much water running in there, but you also want a little bit of the pasta water to help to re-emulsify. So that's going to dance right inside, and you want to be delicate with it so the yolk doesn't break. You see how it gets a little pocket of brown butter? You see that? Whoa. So we kind of baste off the heat, just a little more pasta water. And obviously, if you're going to go to the table, they may roll around a little bit on the plate. So I always pipe a little bit of ricotta at the base. Mamma mia. Take the uovo right on top. And then just a little bit of salsa, a little bit of burro rosolato, come diciamo noi in Italiano. I have this white truffle that just came in from Alba, from my people over there. How do you go wrong with that, right? Whoa! And then we're going to douse with an uncontrollable amount of tartufo bianco. See how it kind of just gets super thin, it's just going to melt. Sottile, 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 sottile. Finish with more Parmigiano on top and do like an aggressive shower. This is the undisputed king of cheeses, there's no question, right? Once you cut into it and then you see the yolk, oh my God. Because the egg yolk is what makes the sauce. Parmigiano in the background, the warming spice of the nutmeg. You have the parsley, you can taste a little bit of lemon, but you have the beautiful umami flavor that you have from white truffles that you can't find anywhere else. And then the richness of that egg yolk, it's like mamma mia. How do you go wrong? For the recipe, click the link below.